Have you ever found yourself in the eye of a storm, where everything around you spins wildly out of control, yet somehow, you remain steady? Have you wondered how some individuals seem to possess an innate tranquility, a deep well of confidence, even when faced with overwhelming uncertainty and relentless challenges? This profound steadiness isn't a genetic lottery win or a rare gift bestowed upon a select few. It is a cultivated skill, a deliberate practice, and a direct outcome of mastering one's own mind. In a world that relentlessly tests our resolve, where every day presents a new trial, it is not necessarily the strongest, the wealthiest, or even the most intellectually brilliant who stand firm. It is the individual who, through conscious effort and inner discipline, learns to maintain an unyielding calm. As the venerable Stoic philosopher Epictetus profoundly stated, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This seemingly simple declaration holds the key to true empowerment. Your response, your inner stance, your chosen attitude, these are the true determinants of your life's trajectory, not the capricious whims of fate. Your mindset is far more than a mere collection of thoughts, it is the very fabric of your existence, the internal armor you don each morning, and the unwavering compass that guides you when the world veers off course. Stoicism, an ancient philosophy forged in the crucible of real-world hardship, makes no grandiose promises of an easy life, devoid of struggle. Instead, it offers a rigorous, yet liberating, framework for living in a way that safeguards your inner peace, making it impervious to external disturbances. For if genuine happiness remains elusive, then true success, by definition, has not been achieved. And if your aspiration is a success that endures, that stands the test of time, then the foundational work must begin with the unwavering cultivation of your mindset. This profound journey into inner mastery is precisely what we will explore today. 1. You don't control the world, you control yourself. From the moment we draw our first breath, much of our lives are spent in a ceaseless, often futile, attempt to bend the external world to our will. We lament the unpredictable weather, harbor resentment when others disappoint us, and succumb to frustration when our meticulously laid plans unravel. This pervasive struggle, this constant striving against forces beyond our dominion, is a primary source of human suffering. Yet, Stoicism, with its elegant simplicity, illuminates a path to profound liberation, a clear and unwavering distinction between what lies within our sphere of influence and what does not. Epictetus, a man who endured the indignity of slavery before rising to become a revered philosopher, articulated this fundamental truth with crystalline clarity: make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. This is not an endorsement of passive surrender, quite the opposite. It is a powerful call to radical self-ownership. When you consciously relinquish the exhausting endeavor of controlling the uncontrollable, the opinions of others, the unpredictable currents of gossip, the ceaseless fluctuations of markets, or even the inevitable frailties of the human body, you begin to reclaim an immense reservoir of energy. This liberated energy can then be wholly invested in the one domain where your sovereignty is absolute, your own mind and your chosen responses. Stoicism delineates a stark, yet liberating, boundary. Within your control, your thoughts, your attitudes, your chosen behaviors, your immediate reactions to events, your judgments, and your perceptions. Outside your control, the actions and opinions of other people, the weather's capriciousness, the unpredictable fluctuations of the economy, the onset of illness, and the very unfolding of fate itself. Wisdom, therefore, resides not in the futile attempt to manipulate external reality, but in the profound discernment of this fundamental distinction and the unwavering commitment to direct all of your attention, energy, and effort toward that which you can truly govern. Everything else, the Stoics teach, must be embraced with a spirit of equanimity, accepted as an inherent part of life's intricate tapestry. Consider the compelling example of Ryan Holiday, a modern proponent of Stoicism who has not only written best-selling books like The Obstacle is the Way and Stillness is the Key, but actively embodies its principles. In an age where digital noise and constant self-promotion are the norm, Holiday deliberately chose a different path, one of quiet discipline and unwavering consistency. He deliberately removed himself from the clamor of urban life, choosing to reside on a secluded farm in Texas. His daily ritual involves waking early, immersing himself in reading, writing in profound silence, and maintaining a conscious distance from the pervasive distractions of social media. For Holiday, stillness is not a mere luxury or an escape, it is a calculated, strategic choice. It is the fertile ground from which clarity and intentional action spontaneously arise. In a world addicted to instantaneous, knee-jerk reactions, Holiday serves as a living testament to a timeless truth: stillness is not synonymous with inactivity. Rather, it is the indispensable precursor to profound clarity. You possess no control over the cacophony of the external world, but you retain absolute sovereignty over whether that noise is permitted to invade and disrupt your inner sanctuary. Every single day, you will inevitably confront your own personal crucible, be it unemployment, the sting of heartbreak, the sharp edge of criticism, or the disorienting feeling of being utterly lost. But the true question is not, why is this happening to me? It is, how will I respond to this? The immense, invaluable energy wasted in futile attempts to alter what cannot be altered, a sudden downpour, the unwarranted malice of others, or an outcome that disappoints, could instead be channeled into a masterful response. A calm mind, resolute amidst the storm, is the quintessential expression of inner strength. There is no drama, no needless clamor, only you and the conscious decision you are poised to make. And this, precisely, is why your mindset is everything. It is the impervious armor you don each morning, the unfailing compass you consult when the world veers wildly off course. This profound mindset is not a commodity acquired in a fleeting weekend seminar. It is meticulously forged, thought by thought, small reaction by small reaction, day by disciplined day, in the profound crucible of silence. However, if reason is the finely honed weapon wielded to face the challenges of the world, then unbridled emotion is often the very force that threatens to dislodge us from our chosen path. Stoicism does not advocate for the suppression of emotions, a futile and ultimately self-defeating endeavor. Instead, it teaches a far more sophisticated mastery, the deliberate placement of emotions under the guiding hand of reason. How, then, does one maintain composure when emotions surge like an untamed tide? How can one live authentically, embracing the full spectrum of human feeling, without being enslaved by their capricious dictates? Let us delve into the next section, where you will uncover a profound truth: the calmest person in the room is not the one who feels nothing. Rather, they are the individual who possesses such profound self-knowledge that emotion, though acknowledged, no longer wields tyrannical control over their actions. 2. Emotions are temporary, character is eternal. Emotions, in their raw and unvarnished form, are an intrinsic and inescapable aspect of the human condition. We naturally experience anger when insulted, profound sadness when hurt, exhilarating joy in success, and gnawing panic in the face of failure. All of this is not only normal but utterly human. However, what profoundly distinguishes a fragile, easily swayed mind from a resilient, unshakable one is not the mere presence or absence of these emotions. It is, rather, the manner in which we choose to respond to them. Stoicism, contrary to popular misconception, does not advocate for a life of cold detachment or emotional indifference. Its wisdom lies in recognizing that emotions, while powerful, are unreliable guides for life's intricate journey. If your aspiration is to cultivate unwavering calm and unshakable confidence, then you must consciously refuse to cede the reins of your life to the fleeting currents of emotion. Instead, you must learn to guide your emotions with the steady, discerning hand of reason. The calm that Stoicism champions, often mistakenly perceived as coldness, is in fact the sublime expression of a meticulously disciplined inner world. To be calm, in the Stoic sense, does not imply an absence of feeling, it signifies a profound capacity to feel deeply, to experience the full spectrum of human emotion, yet to remain unrolled by its ephemeral dictates. It is that profound state where anger, though felt, does not cascade into destructive action, where fear, though acknowledged, does not paralyze forward momentum, and where pain, though endured, does not strip one of dignity or integrity. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king of Rome, one of the most revered emperors and profound Stoic thinkers, maintained a daily practice of journaling. His intimate reflections were not for the purpose of venting grievances or recording triumphs, but rather to meticulously examine his own emotions, every subtle shift in feeling, and each fleeting thought that coursed through his mind. For him, confronting his emotions head-on was not a sign of weakness, it was an indispensable component of his rigorous mental discipline. He famously penned the words, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is more than a mere mantra, it is a profound and urgent warning. In a world characterized by incessant chaos, where control over the weather, the actions of others, or even the immutable hand of fate remains stubbornly beyond your grasp, the singular domain where your sovereignty is absolute is your own mind. And when you achieve mastery over your mind, you transcend the ignoble state of being a slave to your emotions. Imagine yourself standing steadfast in the epicenter of a raging storm. Winds howl with furious intensity, insults are hurled like venomous darts, societal pressures mount inexorably, and silent fears swirl within. You possess no power to command the storm to cease, yet you retain the profound ability to choose to remain grounded. And if you stand firm, with unwavering resolve, for a sufficient duration, the storm will inevitably dissipate, leaving you still standing, unbowed. This, precisely, is the Stoic spirit, a spirit that does not flee from emotion but defiantly refuses to be vanquished by it. And here lies a truth of immeasurable value, one profoundly worth engraving upon your consciousness: emotions are, by their very nature, temporary. The crushing weight of despair that envelopes you tonight may, with the dawn, lift and be replaced by a newfound lightness. However, if, in the throes of that agonizing moment, you act impulsively, lashing out in anger, abandoning a cherished goal, or compromising a deeply held value, the repercussions of those actions could reverberate and endure far longer than the fleeting emotion that spawned them. Emotions are transient, the character you meticulously forge and leave behind, however, is eternal. This is why the Stoics do not advocate for the eradication of emotion. Instead, they counsel a deliberate, conscious choice, to discern the opportune moment to respond, or indeed, to refrain from responding altogether. Not because they lack anything to say, but because they possess the profound wisdom to recognize that some situations simply do not merit a reaction fueled by raw impulse. In a world that fetishizes intensity and champions instantaneous reactions, this quality, the capacity for considered, measured response, is exceedingly rare and possesses an unparalleled power. When an anonymous individual hurls an insult at you in the digital ether, you are entirely justified in experiencing anger. Yet, you retain the profound freedom to choose a response of rational silence, allowing that silence to convey a far more potent message: I am not governed by impulsive reactions, but guided by the unshakable values I hold dear. This, truly, is composure. This, truly, is strength born from within. Ultimately, the art of emotional management is not about suppression or the performative masquerade of forced happiness. It is, instead, the profound ability to perceive your emotions with crystalline clarity, to understand their origins, and to respond in a manner that remains consistently aligned with your deepest values, rather than your unthinking reflexes. Within the embrace of this rigorous self-discipline, you will discover an authentic, enduring peace. And within that profound peace, you will unearth your true self, not the version buffeted aimlessly by every passing wave, but the sovereign individual you have intentionally and meticulously chosen to become. Therefore, if the cultivation of your mindset is indeed paramount, then taking absolute charge of your emotions is where this transformative journey must irrevocably begin. Emotions are fleeting. Character is eternal. Emotions will inevitably pass, but your character, once forged, remains. And it is you, and only you, who decides which shall prevail. 3. Accept fate as part of the journey. Consider the profound journey of Joe, an ordinary man whose life irrevocably altered with a devastating diagnosis: terminal cancer. No hope of a cure, no promise of a tomorrow to anticipate. For most, such a pronouncement would signify the crushing end. Yet, for Joe, it became a radical awakening. He did not succumb to bitterness or rage, he did not rail against an unchangeable fate, he did not rebel against the immutable. Instead, he made a conscious, defiant choice, to live each remaining day with an intensity and fullness he had never known. He greeted everyone he encountered with a genuine smile, penned heartfelt letters to his children, embraced his wife with a lingering tenderness, and dedicated his remaining precious time to inspiring fellow patients who had surrendered to despair. When asked by a curious observer how he could possibly maintain such profound calm in the face of his own mortality, Joe simply replied, "Because I stopped fighting fate. I didn't choose this illness, but I choose how to live with it." This is the very essence of the Stoic spirit, the courageous acceptance of fate, not as an act of surrender, but as an unwavering commitment to live fully and purposefully even amidst profoundly imperfect circumstances. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who navigated a reign plagued by relentless wars, devastating plagues, and pervasive death, articulated this principle with striking clarity: "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." This is not mere poetic imagery, it is a profound, actionable truth. When we cease to exhaust ourselves in endless complaint and instead learn to transmute hardship into the very fuel for inner strength, even profound pain can become an unexpected source of illumination. The Stoics referred to this radical acceptance as amor fati, the love of fate. It is not simply about enduring or tolerating what transpires, but about actively embracing and loving everything that comes your way, regardless of its perceived goodness or adversity. For, with a disciplined mind, you come to understand that every event, even the most unwelcome, is an inseparable and indispensable component of the universe's intricate order. And as a rational being, you possess an even greater capacity, the ability to transmute adversity into a powerful catalyst for growth. Rather than futilely resisting reality, the practitioner of amor fati consciously chooses to work in harmony with it. As Seneca, another towering figure in Stoic thought, wisely observed, "The wise do not demand the storm to cease. They learn to steer their ship through it." When we stubbornly fight against the tide of reality, we inflict upon ourselves a double suffering. A portion of that suffering is inherent to the circumstance itself, the remainder, and often the larger part, stems from the resistance cultivated within our own minds. The question, "Why me?" though natural, never yields a truly satisfying answer. But if we pivot and instead ask, "What can I do now?" given this immutable reality, the entire landscape of our perception shifts. Divinity never promised a life devoid of challenges, but it bestowed upon us the profound gift of free will, the inherent power to choose our response. And in the crucible of that choice, we reveal the very essence of our dignity, our unyielding strength, and our unwavering faith. Acceptance, paradoxically, is not paralysis. On the contrary, it is the crucial first step in reclaiming absolute ownership of your life. When you cease to squander precious energy on wishing for the impossible, you liberate a vast expanse of time and inner strength to intentionally change what is indeed within your power, your attitude, your subsequent actions, and your profound sense of purpose. Herein lies the paradox: the more profoundly we accept life's inherent imperfections, the lighter and freer we become. True control does not manifest from manipulating the external world, it blossoms from the radical transformation of the world within. When you consciously perceive life as an invaluable gift, even if that gift is transient, your approach to living undergoes a fundamental metamorphosis. Every sunrise becomes a profound miracle. Every embrace, every conversation, every deliberate breath becomes a sacred and cherished component of your extraordinary journey. Joe, in his final chapter, did not conquer cancer. But in a far more profound sense, he conquered himself. He lived with luminous clarity, boundless love, and profound gratitude. And in the end, as he gently closed his eyes, he departed not in fear, but in an abiding peace, for he understood that he had not fled from his fate. He had, instead, embraced it with reverence, perceiving it as something sacredly entrusted to him by the divine and the universe itself. When you consciously choose to accept fate as an integral and necessary part of your unique path, not with the bitterness of resentment, nor in the delusion of denial, you transcend mere strength. You become truly free. You no longer demand that the world conform to your desires, you simply commit to maintaining your inner self in a state of unwavering steadiness. And from that profound place of calm, you move forward, not in a frenzied panic, but with a deep, abiding stillness and an unshakable confidence that is impervious to any external force. This, truly, is the transformative power of living in accordance with Stoic philosophy. 4. No one can take away your confidence unless you let them. There are moments when a single, thoughtless sentence can inflict a wound that festers for days, an offhand insult, a dismissive glance, a venomous comment delivered in the harsh glare of public scrutiny. The relentless currents of the modern world present us with innumerable opportunities to feel diminished, insignificant, or utterly small. Yet, the profound truth, and indeed the ultimate crucible of your strength, lies in this: your response to such provocations is entirely and unequivocally within your hands. Stoicism, with its unwavering clarity, imparts this essential lesson: no one possesses the inherent power to harm you unless you, through your own conscious or unconscious assent, permit them to do so. Emotions, though powerful, are not untamed beasts. They are, in fact, governed by the intricate machinery of thought. The Stoics do not deny the visceral reality of pain, but they emphatically underscore this crucial distinction: pain does not originate in the event itself, it arises from the way you choose to interpret that event within the confines of your own mind. Epictetus, in a powerful and often unsettling revelation, once declared, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. This sentence unmasks a profound and often uncomfortable truth that many assiduously avoid: you are not being controlled by external forces, you are, rather, tacitly agreeing to be controlled. When an individual hurls an insult your way, they may indeed launch sharp, pointed words, but if you steadfastly refuse to catch them, if you decline to internalize their venom, those words cannot, in essence, touch you. You retain a sovereign choice: to succumb to the fiery sting of pride or to maintain your inner calm. Consider the paradigmatic example of Socrates. Accused of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods, charges that carried the ultimate penalty, he stood before the Athenian court with an astonishing absence of fear. He did not debase himself by pleading for his life, nor did he beg for mercy. Instead, he meticulously employed reason to dissect and question the very societal norms and moral fabric of the society that presumed to judge him. He embraced the sentence of death with a serene and unyielding calmness. In Plato's Phaedo, he is depicted telling his students, "Death is not a bad thing if the soul truly is immortal." To Socrates, the intrinsic value of a life was not measured by its temporal length, but by its unwavering integrity. When sentenced to drink hemlock, he did not curse his fate. He simply requested that his followers refrain from weeping and gently reminded them to settle a final, symbolic debt to the gods, thus departing the world as a man imbued with absolute peace of mind. He held no control over the verdict, yet he maintained absolute control over how he chose to face it. This, truly, is the zenith of an unshakable mind. You, too, possess that sacred inner space. When a stranger online criticizes you, when someone ignores your efforts, when an acquaintance insults you, or when anyone attempts to make you feel small, you are granted one silent, potent second to choose. Do you allow this external judgment to hijack your mood, or do you steadfastly cling to your inherent power? Confidence or capitulation begins in that precise, infinitesimal moment. Stoicism does not command you to never experience pain. Instead, it teaches you to consciously choose what is truly worthy of your pain. When you find yourself disproportionately crushed by a faceless comment, ask yourself, with brutal honesty, where have I mistakenly placed my worth? In the fickle words of others, or in the unyielding principles by which I choose to live? A true Stoic anchors their value within, never outsourcing their self-worth to the capricious gaze of external approval. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and profound philosopher, navigated a life fraught with incessant slander, treacherous political conspiracies, and the searing betrayal of those closest to him. Yet, he never once reacted as a victim. He famously inscribed in his meditations, "If you are harmed, it is because you have decided that you are." His profound confidence did not derive from the imperial throne he occupied, but from his razor-sharp awareness and deliberate mastery of his own reactions. This path is by no means easy, particularly in an era saturated by social media, where a single click can unleash a torrent of anonymous vitriol. Yet, it is precisely in this environment that calm and unwavering confidence transmute into your ultimate, unassailable weapons. No one can wrest them from your grasp unless you, through an act of unconscious or conscious will, choose to relinquish them. In the grand tapestry of life, what truly matters is not the number of judgments you artfully dodge, but the number of times you stand tall, unbowed, after they have struck. Confidence is not a boisterous declaration, it is a deep, quiet certainty cultivated within. It is the profound knowing that your inherent worth is not subject to external vote or public consensus. And if you can steadfastly hold on to that truth, you have already achieved victory, without ever needing to strike back. 5. Act on values, not inspiration. True calm is not a spontaneous eruption of a good mood, it is a disciplined practice. Confidence does not magically materialize on a sun-drenched day simply because you suddenly feel strong. These are fleeting emotions, transient as the wind, arriving and departing without warning. What provides an unwavering anchor, grounding you steadfastly through the unpredictable currents of life, are your core values. A Stoic does not merely act based on ephemeral emotions. A Stoic acts based on unshakable principle. They do not consult their fleeting feelings, asking, "How do I feel right now?" Instead, they pose a far more profound and enduring question: is this the right thing to do? This fundamental choice, the unwavering adherence to principles over the whimsical pursuit of fleeting feelings, is the very crucible in which true strength is forged. In the throes of a heated argument, you may feel profoundly attacked, deeply misunderstood. Your immediate emotions may surge, urging you to retaliate, to defend your ego with sharp words, to secure a verbal victory. Yet, the Stoic pauses. Not out of fear, but from a deeper understanding that inner peace can sometimes far outweigh the fleeting satisfaction of a hollow victory. They choose to elevate their values above impulsive reactions. There is a profound, yet deceptively simple, quote from Marcus Aurelius: "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This is not a concept reserved for philosophers or sages. You require no advanced degree or extensive life experience to grasp its profound truth. You only need the courage for unsparing honesty with yourself. When emotions, be they anger, fear, or envy, seek to pull you toward retaliation, judgment, or manipulation, you need only pause and ask, with unflinching honesty, is this truly right? If the answer is no, then simply do not do it. This, truly, is power. This, truly, is self-control. And it is a rare commodity in a world driven by immediate gratification, for living by values demands the conscious setting aside of immediate emotional comfort for the sake of long-term integrity. It necessitates embracing discomfort, accepting short-term loss, and enduring inconvenience for the profound, enduring peace that blossoms within. When you act on impulse, you invariably lose a piece of yourself. This is swiftly followed by the bitter taste of regret, the gnawing ache of frustration, and the disorienting chaos of an untethered inner world. But when you meticulously choose to live by your values, you actively construct an internal compass, one that maintains your direction with unwavering steadiness, even amidst the most violent storms. No external entity can then dictate your choices. No fleeting mood can seize control of your behavior. And this, precisely, is the profound confidence that no external force, however formidable, can ever wrest from your grasp. We frequently fall into the trap of waiting for inspiration, waiting until we feel motivated to work out, to apologize, or to say no to what no longer serves us. But the Stoic does not linger, waiting for a divine spark of inspiration. They act because it is the right thing to do, irrespective of how they might feel. And the more consistently they act on principle, the more profound their liberation becomes, liberation from the tyranny of fluctuating moods, from the insidious pressures of societal expectation, and from the self-defeating clutches of their own impulsiveness. Remember this truth: motivation, while useful, is inherently unreliable. It is as capricious as the weather, sunny and inviting today, yet tempestuous and foreboding tomorrow. If your actions are predicated solely on the agreeable dictates of your mood, you will live your entire life at the mercy of sheer randomness. But if you rigorously train yourself to act on principle, you transform every single day into a robust foundation for unshakable inner strength. An individual who chooses silence when anger beckons, who maintains composure when insulted, who acts with integrity when no one is watching, this is not merely emotion. This is character. You do not require motivation to do what is right. You only need to remember who you intrinsically are, and who you are steadfastly striving to become. And if you find yourself asking, how do I maintain this consistency? How do I choose values over fleeting feelings, time and again? The answer lies in the next profound truth. For if you genuinely aspire to live with the strength and resilience of a Stoic, you cannot merely think differently. You must consciously train your mind with the same rigorous discipline, unwavering routine, and daily commitment that an athlete devotes to sculpting their physical form. And it is precisely here that true strength, lasting and profound, begins to manifest. 6. Train your mind like you train your muscles. The human mind, in its intricate complexity, is remarkably akin to a muscle. If subjected to neglect, if deprived of consistent, purposeful training, it will inevitably atrophy, becoming weak and easily overwhelmed. While the vast majority of people are intimately familiar with the concept of physical training, through rigorous gym routines, competitive sports, or meticulous nutritional regimens, very few consciously recognize that the act of thinking, the very faculty of cognition, also demands serious, disciplined training. Yet, it is precisely this deliberate mental conditioning that distinguishes an individual buffeted by the whims of their emotions from one who remains profoundly calm and confidently centered through any storm that life may hurl their way. The philosopher Epictetus once sagely remarked, "No great thing is created suddenly any more than a bunch of grapes or a figure." This is not merely a gentle admonition to be patient, it is a foundational philosophy for those who genuinely embrace the Stoic way of life. Do you aspire to cultivate a mind of unyielding resilience, one that remains impervious to the corrosive grip of fear, the fiery surge of anger, or the disorienting fog of confusion? Then you must commit to training it with the same unwavering dedication that an athlete invests in preparing for a major, life-defining competition. A calm spirit is not a celestial gift bestowed upon a fortunate few at birth. It is the profound cumulative result of countless, often unseen, deliberate choices. The conscious choice not to succumb to anger when provoked. The resolute choice not to complain when circumstances deviate from your preferences. The courageous choice to face fear head-on instead of recoiling from it. These choices, though seemingly small and insignificant in isolation, are in fact the very workouts for the will, the weights you lift to sculpt a mind of unshakable fortitude. Training the mind is fundamentally akin to a fighter meticulously preparing for battle. For life, in its inherent unpredictability, will offer no polite advance warning before it unleashes a formidable challenge your way. When you inevitably confront the searing pain of loss, the crushing weight of failure, or the sharp sting of disappointment, the sole possession over which you retain absolute sovereignty is your response. And no one, absolutely no one, responds with grace and efficacy without prior, rigorous training. Let us be brutally honest, no individual simply awakens one day miraculously endowed with mental steel. Those who consistently demonstrate profound calm and unshakable confidence are the living embodiment of hundreds, perhaps thousands, of internal training sessions witnessed by no one but themselves. This rigorous self-training might manifest in a daily morning meditation routine, where they observe their thoughts without the corrosive taint of judgment. It could involve the disciplined practice of journaling in the Stoic tradition at the close of each day, meticulously reflecting on their actions and emotional landscape. Or perhaps it is as simple, yet profoundly impactful, as immersing themselves in a single page from the Meditations of Marcus Aurelius and then earnestly posing the question, if he were in this situation, how would he act? This is not a quick fix, a superficial hack designed to yield instant self-improvement within a week. It is a lifelong, ongoing process. Just as the physical body, if deprived of consistent exercise, becomes sluggish, weak, and susceptible to ailments, so too does the mind. If you cease to train it, it will grow dull, feeble, and easily dislodged. And when life strikes with its inevitable, crushing blows, you will find yourself overwhelmed, adrift without an inner anchor to cling to. But if you persevere with unwavering consistency, even with small, incremental efforts, you will begin to perceive a profound internal shift. You will find yourself reacting less impulsively, less emotionally. A quiet, deep strength will begin to blossom within you, a strength born not from cold indifference, but from a profound and compassionate understanding. You will come to comprehend that while everything external to you is subject to change, a meticulously trained mind stands as the most formidable, unbreachable fortress imaginable. And it is within the protective sanctuary of that fortress that you will ultimately discover true freedom. Training your mind, therefore, is no longer an optional indulgence. It is an absolute imperative if your aspiration is to live fully, to remain profoundly awake to the richness of life, and to resist being swept away by the relentless chaos of the world. So, instead of merely asking, "How can I stay calm?" begin by asking yourself, "Did I engage in the deliberate training of my mind today?" What are your thoughts on cultivating your mind with the same seriousness as training a muscle? Have you personally experimented with journaling, practicing meditation, or delving into Stoic philosophy to foster greater inner strength? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your narrative might just serve as the pivotal spark of inspiration for someone else embarking on their own journey. 7. Death is the measure of every action, memento mori. Remember that you will die. To many, this declaration resonates as grim, perhaps even morbid and unfeeling. Yet, to a Stoic, memento mori is not a macabre fixation or a harbinger of despair. On the contrary, it is a profound, guiding principle, intended not to instill a paralyzing fear of death, but to awaken a deeper, more intentional, and ultimately more deliberate way of living. For it is only when you truly internalize the finite nature of every single breath, when you grasp the fleeting impermanence of existence, that you begin to ascribe true, immeasurable value to it. We often navigate our lives as if endowed with an infinite reservoir of time, as if immortality were our birthright. We indefinitely postpone what truly matters, allowing ourselves to drown in the shallow currents of petty anger and to become ensnared in trivial, ultimately meaningless worries. But the moment you pose the unsparing question, "If today were my last day on earth, how would I truly live it?" the entire landscape of your priorities clarifies with astonishing speed. Seneca, in his powerful Letters from a Stoic, urged, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." Pause for a moment and allow these profound words to penetrate your consciousness. Seneca was not advocating for a frantic, hurried existence. He was, instead, delivering a powerful reminder to live with unwavering intention, to meticulously prepare the mind as if death stood patiently at the doorstep, not to induce panic, but to achieve crystalline clarity. When you internalize the undeniable truth that time can cease at any given moment, you relinquish the self-defeating habit of allowing your mind to drift into the seductive currents of delay, the corrosive bitterness of resentment, or the vacuous realm of meaningless distractions. You begin to cling exclusively to what holds genuine, immutable significance. Have you ever encountered the poignant insights of Bronnie Ware, the palliative care nurse who meticulously documented the most common regrets expressed by the dying? In her groundbreaking book, she reveals that individuals, on their deathbeds, lament not what they did, but what they failed to dare. They express profound sorrow for not living authentically, true to their deepest selves, for not dedicating sufficient time to those they cherished, for denying themselves the simple, yet profound, gift of happiness. Their regrets stemmed from a lifetime lived unconsciously, only realizing the true value of presence when there was no remaining time to alter their course. The Stoic, in stark contrast, consciously chooses the opposite trajectory. They meditate on death not to descend into morbid despair, but to awaken to the vibrant, pulsing reality of life. They approach every action as if it were being weighed on the final, ultimate scale of existence, death itself. When you comprehend that any single action could be your last, you instinctively choose kinder, more compassionate words. You cease to squander energy on prideful, ultimately meaningless arguments. You refuse to permit a quiet, insidious fear to deter you from embarking on something profoundly meaningful. You say, "I love you," with greater frequency and complain with far less regularity. You choose to live with audacious courage and a deep, abiding peace. Stoic philosophy does not counsel the denial of death. Rather, it implores you to confront it directly, and from that courageous confrontation, to live with an unparalleled fullness. No more aimless drifting, no more hesitant waiting. Every conscious act, every deliberate choice, every single minute you live becomes infused with crystalline clarity and profound weight when you internalize the absolute certainty that time is limited. And then, when the inevitable moment of death arrives, you experience no bitter regret, no gnawing sense of unfinished business, for you have lived as if every fleeting moment were a brushstroke on the canvas of your final masterpiece. So, what transpires when an individual not only lives with such profound intentionality but also maintains an absolute, unshakable calm amidst the fiercest chaos? In the concluding section, we will delve into the profound paradox of why, in a world characterized by incessant noise and pervasive uncertainty, calmness stands as the ultimate, unassailable strength. Prepare yourself. This, perhaps, might just be the indispensable key to stepping into a steadier, wiser, and ultimately more formidable version of yourself. 8. The calmest person is the strongest. In a world where amplified voices often command more attention than quiet reflection, where outrage, vitriolic pronouncements, and sensationalized imagery are frequently glorified as the quintessential symbols of power, it is alarmingly easy to conflate mere noise with genuine, unyielding strength. However, in the profound wisdom of Stoic philosophy, the strongest individual is not the one who exerts control over others, but the one who has achieved absolute mastery over themselves. It is not the one who prevails in every argument, but the one who maintains steadfast silence when subjected to insult. It is not the one who rushes fastest, but the one who walks with the most unwavering steadiness, utterly unshaken in the very eye of the storm. We frequently fall into the erroneous trap of perceiving calmness as a deficiency, a lack of reaction, a passive indifference, or even a sign of weakness. Yet, the profound truth is that genuine calmness demands infinitely more strength than unbridled anger. For anyone, with minimal effort, can lash out, strike back with venom, or exhibit a defiant, indignant attitude. Very few, however, possess the inner fortitude, the sheer courage, to remain profoundly still, to discern the larger, overarching picture, and to respond only when it is absolutely necessary and aligned with their highest values. Composure is not the absence of emotion. It is, unequivocally, the masterful control of emotion. And that discerning control represents the very pinnacle of human capability. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously declared, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This single line forms the very backbone of the Stoic spirit. In the contemporary world, achieving mastery over oneself does not imply a detached withdrawal from life. Rather, it signifies living fully, immersing oneself completely in the rich tapestry of existence, yet refusing to permit external circumstances to dictate who you fundamentally are. It means that when an individual insults you, you do not react with impulsive fury. Instead, you respond with thoughtful deliberation, grounded in your chosen values. When a colleague attempts to dominate or overpower you in a meeting, you feel no compulsive need to raise your voice or shout louder. Instead, you hold your ground with a quiet, unshakable inner confidence. This profound calm does not arise from the suppression of emotions, from bottling up your feelings. It springs from a deep, intuitive understanding of yourself and the fundamental nature of life itself. The Stoics never attempted to control what lay stubbornly beyond their reach. They embraced the inescapable truth that chaos is an inherent, inevitable aspect of existence, and they meticulously prepared for it by rigorously training their inner world. They did not passively await the calming of life's tumultuous waters to find peace. They actively built and cultivated inner peace even as life continued its incessant, roaring clamor. Marcus Aurelius, a ruler wielding immense power, stands as a living embodiment of this profound principle. While holding the very fate of the Roman Empire in his hands, he dedicated his nights to silent, introspective journaling, not to impress anyone, but to engage in a profound inner reflection. His writings are neither grandiose nor boastful, they are remarkably humble, deeply introspective, and driven by an earnest desire to live with kindness and integrity in a world characterized by incessant conflict. He once penned, "Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." This is the very essence of how to live, not to rage against the storm with a desperate scream, but to meet it with the unwavering stillness of a solid, immovable stone. Today, though we may not occupy imperial thrones, each of us is tasked with governing our own personal empire, our mind. When you maintain composure amidst the maelstrom of chaos, you are not merely in control of the external situation, you simultaneously become a vital, tranquil harbor for those around you. Your profound calm possesses the power to anchor your family, to steady your team, to fortify your community. And this, truly, is real power, not loud, but enduring, not transient, but lasting. Therefore, resist the fleeting urge to seek validation by attempting to outshout others. Instead, discover profound strength in the deliberate cultivation of intentional silence. Remember, the calmest individual is not devoid of fear. They simply steadfastly refuse to permit fear to dictate their actions. When you achieve mastery over your own mind, you no longer feel the compulsive need to control the external world, for the external world can no longer exert the same control over you. Calmness is power, and it is the singular form of power that no one, absolutely no one, can ever strip away from you, unless you yourself choose to surrender it. Your mind is the ultimate stronghold. If you can courageously hold that line, no storm, regardless of its ferocity, possesses the inherent capacity to bring you down. Calmness is not weakness. Confidence is not arrogance. They are, in their profound essence, true strength, forged in the quiet solitude of daily practice, meticulously shaped by honest self-reflection, and honed to a razor-sharp edge by the deliberate cultivation of intentional response. Have you ever paused to ask yourself, what, truly, am I in control of in this specific situation? Or, how would I choose to respond if I were not swayed by immediate emotion? Share your thoughts below. What recent experience tested your calmest resolve, and what profound lessons did that experience impart? If this video has ignited a spark within you, a flicker of insight, a new perspective, or even just a moment of profound peace, don't forget to like it, share it with someone who might desperately need its message, and subscribe to the channel to continue building unshakable inner strength together. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. That strength? It has always been, and will always be, yours to claim.